Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the invitation. I will give you a brief update on the Commission preparation of the new pharmacovigilance legislation, as we are now only, we can already start counting days now until July. I think it's also interesting for you what is the state of play with the issues that have to be addressed by the Commission. Can I have the, we will start in July, you know all the dates. And as far as the Commission is concerned, one important task we have been attributed is to adopt the Commission implementing regulation. Can I have the next slide, please? And there you know the purpose of this implementing regulation is basically to precise, detail certain technical requirements as regards the new pharmacovigilance legislation. To give you an update on recent developments in this regard since the last stakeholder meeting, what we had to do was to notify a draft under the TBT agreement, which is a WTO sub-agreement, to give also third countries the possibility to comment on this measure, because it has also some potential impact under WTO rules. Then we also prepared the translations of the draft measures, and now we are only a couple of days away from the standing committee, which has been convened to vote on the draft implementing regulation. The standing committee consists of representatives of member states, and it is a standard requirement within the process of adopting these kind of implementing regulation that we as Commission need the positive support of the member states by means of this standing committee. And so the meeting is actually next Tuesday, and there we have already submitted the draft measure to member states, and we'll discuss it there and then proceed hopefully to the vote. If everything works well, it will mean that an adoption by the Commission is possible in June. Of course, with voting you never know, but this is the internal planning. Can I have the next? Just to recap what is covered by the implementing regulation, it's a couple of topics, all linked more to the details, technical requirements, to precise content, or to certain format requirements. And I've listed them here. You probably all are perfectly aware of these. So the main chapters of the implementing regulation will be the pharmacovigilance system master file. It will have a chapter on the quality systems, the signal detection, monitoring of vigilance, and on and on. And then in the annexes of the regulation, we will have specific formats in relation to some of these topics. Next slide, please. Just also to recall some key elements as regards the pharmacovigilance system master file. The intention of the regulation is to clarify the content of this master file, which is basically a description of the system in the core content, but supplemented with certain annexes, which also need to contain certain product information in order to link the pharmacovigilance system master file to the products to be covered. In the quality system chapter, The key aspects are quality around human resources management, around compliance management, and basically documentation of pharmacovigilance. In the signal detection chapter and monitoring of vigilance, there will be more precise rules on the detection of new signals and how marketing authorization holders have to submit them electronically to vigilance, what they have to observe. There, the important issue is that the marketing authorization holder basically have to validate the information before submitting it to vigilance. So we expect from them a certain pre-check of the submitted information before it's then submitted to vigilance and confirmed by the responsible member states or the agency. In the chapter on internationally agreed terminology, we basically start a move to the new EN ISO standards on product information, medicinal product information, and also on adverse drug reaction reporting. And, but this will be a phased-in approach, so no sudden change in this regard. For periodic safety update reports, we basically integrate now, as regards the format, also the recent developments in the ICH forum and take this into account. And probably also of interest for you, we suggest as regards certain aspects of this, which are covered by the implementing regulation, a phasing-in period, a transitional period of 6 months. How this phasing-in period specifically looks like and which aspects it will cover is still subject to discussions with member states. So before the standing committee next Tuesday, it's a bit difficult to give a precise answer which specific aspects will be covered by this 6 months period. Next slide. Yeah, also perhaps of interest for you, what will happen after the standing committee and the vote. Will the draft, which has been voted, be available? And there we have, as Commission, a specific so-called comitology register, because the adoption procedure we're using here is called comitology. And there normally, if we vote on next week and have a positive vote, then within 1 to 2 weeks, the final draft will be available in this comitology register in all EU languages. And then once it is adopted by the Commission, the adopted draft will be published in the official journal of the European Union, also in all languages. Next slide. Then, apart from Commission implementing regulation, there's another feature or another instrument which is tackled by the new pharmacovigilance legislation, a so-called delegated act on post-authorization efficacy studies, and especially with the purpose to determine the situations in which those studies may be required. And there, from the Commission, the thinking is that we will later this year publish a concept paper also to specify the situations in which those studies may be required, and also then to consult this with member states, with stakeholders, and to see how to go from there. Last but not least, in the next slide, some information on the appointment of members to the Pharmacovigilance Risk Assessment Committee. I know we have another session in the afternoon, but nevertheless, I think it is useful that I already brief you now about some important developments. We basically, as Commission, have to appoint, on the one hand, independent scientific experts. There we will probably nominate the experts in June. So the process is close to finalization. But for patient and healthcare professional representatives, we are now faced with a particular issue. There, the nomination requires us to consult the selected candidates with the European Parliament. And the European Parliament has informed us this week that they would ask or request the Commission to relaunch the call for expression of interest, basically because they are disappointed by the low number of applicants we received from patient representatives and healthcare professional representatives. This request will basically mean that we as a Commission have to start the whole process again, and it will, as a result, delay the appointment of these representatives. This is an unfortunate incident, but we have, of course, to take into account what the Parliament, who needs to be consulted in this process, thinks of the matter. And there, I would also like the opportunity today, especially to address the patient organization and healthcare professional organizations here, that we also need for this reopening basically your support and for bringing forward more candidates. We already had to basically prolong the application period for our initial call for expression of interest because of the low numbers. But even with this initial prolongation, we could not, or we haven't received a lot of applications. So I would certainly ask you to report this also back to your organizations and to see how you could help us in finding more suitable candidates, also to have a greater choice and then to satisfy this specific request from the European Parliament. What we, for example, have seen is that organizations have only put forward one candidate. So there you may also consider whether you could not perhaps suggest several candidates and not do a kind of pre-selection internally, but come up with several possibilities. In this regard, we also have to take account the strengthened conflict of interest rules. Our experience with the call was that the conflict of interest information provided by the applicant was in some cases not complete. And as we now have a very more elaborate system on conflict of interest, and it is an important feature in those scientific committees, we also need your support that you, when you are proposing an applicant, that you also inform these people that they have to provide complete information so that we can really scrutinize a potential conflict of interest, because all these members basically have voting rights in the scientific committees, and therefore it's important also to cover this aspect. Yeah, this is basically it. And I'm, of course, also open for questions.